You know, one of the hardest things to do in life is to believe in something you can't see, to trust a voice that's telling you, "I've got you," when all around you is falling apart. To take that first step when the bridge ain't even there yet. But that's exactly what trusting God looks like. Faith, real faith, is not having all the answers. It's not God showing you step 1 through 10 before you move. It's not Him handing you the full script of your life with every scene, every line, every twist and turn. A decision you make when the evidence says walk away, when the feelings say give up, when the facts say it's over and you still say, "I'm staying with God," that's faith. And see, we've been taught that faith means you get goosebumps. You hear the choir hit that note. You feel peace like a river. And everything lines up just right. But let me tell you something. Sometimes faith is ugly, it's gritty. It's raw, it's waking up in the morning with tears on your pillow, your back against the wall, and still choosing to say, "God, I trust you," even when I don't understand. Even when I can't trace your hand, even when I've prayed and fasted and nothing's moved, I still trust you. Because faith is not a feeling, faith is not about what I see. Faith is about who I know, and I know that God is good. Not because my life is perfect, not because I always get what I want, not because the door's always open when I knock, but because He's proven Himself over and over again, especially in the silence. See, the enemy will come at you in the silence. When the prayers go unanswered, when the crowd stops clapping, when nobody's checking on you, that's when doubt sneaks in and starts whispering, "Where is your God now?" And you have to look hell in the face and say, "He's right here. Even if I can't see Him, He's right here." Because when you made the decision to trust God, you didn't just sign up for the blessing. You signed up for the battle, you signed up for the valleys, you signed up for the wilderness, and let me tell you, God does His best work in the wilderness. Some of you are asking God for proof, and He's giving you a process. You want clarity, He's giving you trust. You want assurance, He's giving you a test. You say, "God, show me and I'll trust you." But He's saying, "Trust me and I'll show you." That's how God works. He's not in the business of making you comfortable. He's in the business of making you faithful. And that means walking through some things you don't understand. You remember Peter when Jesus said, "Come." There was no raft, no rope, no backup plan, just water and a word. And Peter stepped out. He didn't step because the water looked safe. He didn't step because someone else had already done it. He stepped because Jesus said, "Come," and some of you are in that exact moment right now. God is calling you to move, and nothing around you makes sense. But if He said go, go. If He said trust, trust, because the miracle ain't in the boat. The miracle is in the motion. It's in the step. It's in the obedience. That's where you meet God. Not when you're certain, not when it's comfortable. But when it's risky, when it's quiet, when it's hard, you think God's gonna lay out the whole plan just to make you feel safe. No, He wants your heart. He wants your full trust. He wants you to walk even when the road disappears beneath your feet. And I know it hurts to walk blind. I know you're tired of saying, "Lord, I'm trusting you." With tears running down your face, with nothing changing, with people walking away, with opportunities passing you by. But don't stop, because God is doing more behind the scenes than you could ever imagine. He's fighting battles you don't see. He's rearranging pieces you don't even know exist. He's building the outcome while you're learning to walk. So don't let the silence fool you. Don't let the delay convince you that He's forgotten. He hasn't. He's just making sure that your trust isn't based on the blessing, but on the relationship. Because when you trust Him through the fire, when you trust Him without the proof, when you trust Him just because He is who He says He is, that's real faith. You ever been in a season where it feels like God hit the pause button on your life? Like you've been praying, believing, fasting, and still nothing is moving. And you start to wonder, God, did you forget me? You look around and everybody else seems to be getting their blessing. They're getting married, they're getting promoted, they're launching businesses, they're walking in their moment, and you're stuck waiting in the hallway. That waiting room, that's where most people give up. That's where the enemy starts whispering, maybe it's not gonna happen for you. Maybe God changed his mind. Maybe you're not chosen after all, but I came to tell you tonight, delay is not denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not on the way. God is not ignoring you, he's preparing you. See, what feels like punishment is often preparation. What looks like rejection is really redirection. And if you don't understand the nature of God, you'll misinterpret his timing. You'll start thinking God doesn't care, when really he cares too much to let you receive something you're not ready for. See, we want the promise, but we don't always want the process that shapes us to carry it. We want the platform, but we don't want the patience it takes to stand on it with integrity. We want the reward, but we don't want the responsibility. And so God, in his mercy, not his cruelty, he slows it down. He says, I love you too much to give this to you too soon. Because here's the truth, if you get it before you're ready, what was meant to bless you could break you. If you step into something with an undeveloped character, it won't be long before it collapses. That's why the wait matters. The wait isn't just a delay in your schedule. It's a development in your soul. You know what God does in the waiting? He detoxes you. He strips off pride. He pulls out fear. He burns away comparison. He teaches you how to depend. Not on people, not on platforms, but on him alone. So don't waste the wait. Some of you are pacing, panicking, scrolling through everybody else's progress, but you don't even realize what God is building in you while you wait. You're waiting on a move from God, but God's waiting on a maturity from you. You saying, God, why not yet? He's saying, why not trust me? Sometimes it's not about the prayer being answered. It's about who you become while it's still unanswered, because the real blessing is not the thing you're praying for, it's the person you're becoming while you wait. And yeah, it's hard, I'm not gonna lie, waiting is uncomfortable, it exposes every insecurity, it pulls out every doubt. It reveals where your faith really lies, but listen to me, you are not buried, you are planted, there's a difference. Buried things are forgotten, planted things are prepared, and if you've been planted, then God's not done. You may be under the dirt, nobody may see your progress, nobody may be clapping for your growth, but roots are being established. Depth is being formed, character is being built, and when the time is right, not your time, not their time, but God's time, you will rise. You will break through the surface, and it will be undeniable, but until then, wait well. Don't just wait with frustration, wait with faith. Wait with praise, wait with gratitude, wait with expectation, because while you're waiting, God is working. Behind the scenes, beyond your sight, beyond your understanding, he's aligning everything for your good. You thought it was a delay, but it was a divine setup. You thought it was silence, but it was strategy. You thought you were stuck, but God was strengthening your spirit for what's coming next, so don't let delay rob you of your destiny. Don't let time convince you God changed his mind. If he said it, it's settled. Now it's your job to keep trusting. Keep obeying, keep believing, because even in the waiting, God is never late. You ever ask God for a sign, and all you get is silence. You're sitting there, heart wide open, mind full of questions. You're ready to move. You're ready to do what he said. But you're stuck at a standstill waiting for confirmation, waiting for a clear voice, waiting for some big neon light in the sky saying, "Go this way." Let me tell you something, most of the time, God doesn't hand out full instructions. He gives direction, one step at a time. That's it, and some of us are paralyzed, waiting on a full map, when God already gave us a compass. We want God to lay it all out before we move, but He's saying, just obey me in what I already told you. You asking for the next step, but you haven't even taken the last one. You praying for vision, but you haven't practiced obedience. See, obedience is not about understanding. It's about trusting. Obedience is saying yes even when you don't see the result, even when it costs you, even when it hurts. Because here's the truth, clarity doesn't come before obedience. Clarity follows obedience. You want to know what's next. Then move on what he already said. Remember Abraham, God told him, "Go to the land I will show you." Didn't say where. Didn't give GPS coordinates. Didn't tell him how long the journey would take. He just said go, and Abraham went. Some of y'all waiting for God to show you the whole staircase, but faith is about taking the first step when the rest is still invisible. You don't need to know it all. You just need to know He said go. You're praying for God to move, but maybe God's waiting on you to move. Because faith without works is dead. That means you can pray all you want. You can fast, cry, shout, speak in tongues, but if you're not obeying what He already said, you're delaying your own destiny. Obedience unlocks doors that prayer alone won't. Some breakthroughs are not waiting on God, they're waiting on your obedience. That job, that healing, that relationship, that purpose. It's not just about praying for it. It's about preparing for it. It's about walking like you believe it's already done. That's what obedience looks like. Sometimes God will ask you to do things that don't make sense. Things that stretch your logic, things that feel uncomfortable, and you'll be tempted to delay, to debate, to doubt, but obedience doesn't wait for comfort. Obedience says yes before the facts make sense. You want to live a life that moves heaven, obey quickly. Obey when it's inconvenient. Obey when nobody understands. Obey when it costs you everything. Because obedience is not about what you do for God. It's about who you become with God. Every time you say yes, even when it hurts, even when you're scared, even when you don't know how it'll work out, you become more aligned with your purpose. You step deeper into your calling. You learn how to hear His voice above all the noise. God speaks in motion. You've got to move to hear Him clearly. You've got to walk with Him to understand Him more. Stop waiting for the perfect condition. Stop stalling because of fear. Stop looking at other people's journey, wishing yours was clearer, smoother, faster. God's not interested in you copying someone else's steps. He's building something unique in you, but you'll never see it come alive until you obey. Not partially, not selectively, fully. Let me tell you from experience, there were moments I didn't know where I was headed. Moments I had to obey without applause. Moments I walked away from comfort into the unknown, and I had no idea what was on the other side. But every time I obeyed, every time I stepped without certainty, God showed up. Not always how I expected, but always how I needed. Some of the greatest miracles in your life are waiting on the other side of your obedience. You can't think your way into purpose. You can't feel your way into destiny. You've got to walk into it. One step, one act of trust, one yes at a time. So stop waiting for the full picture. Stop waiting for all the answers. If God said it, move, even if you're afraid. Even if it's messy, even if it costs you something, because when you move in obedience, God moves with power. You know, one of the most powerful lessons I've ever learned, one that changed everything for me, is this right here. You don't have to understand the plan to trust God's purpose. That's a tough one, though, isn't it? Because we want answers. We want explanations. We want to know why it happened the way it did. Why they walked away. Why the opportunity slipped through your fingers. Why the healing didn't come. Why the season dragged on longer than expected, and we think if I could just make sense of it, maybe I could make peace with it. But faith doesn't always come with reasons. It comes with trust. See, we think God owes us details. We act like he's supposed to sit us down and explain himself, like he needs to submit his plan for our approval. But God is not looking for your permission. He's looking for your surrender. Some of you are wrestling with God in your mind because things haven't gone the way you expected. You thought the door would open. It closed. You thought the relationship was forever. It broke. You thought the calling would be easy. It's been anything but. And now you're sitting in the rubble of confusion, asking questions that seem to echo without answers. But let me say this to you from the bottom of my heart. God's purpose does not require your understanding. Because he sees the end from the beginning, he sees the whole picture. While we're staring at one puzzle piece, he's holding the box top. He knows how it all fits together. What you thought was a detour, he's using it to develop you. What felt like a setback, he's using it as setup. What seemed like the enemy's win, God is flipping it for your future. You don't have to understand the pain to know it's not wasted. You don't have to see the outcome to believe the process has purpose. Sometimes you won't get closure. Sometimes you won't get the explanation, but you can still get peace if you trust his heart, even when you can't see his hand. And that's the core of it. Trust isn't real until it's tested. Faith isn't faith until it survives confusion. It's easy to praise God when things make sense, but can you still praise him when it doesn't? Can you still walk with him when the road goes dark? Can you still say, God, I trust you? When everything in you wants to walk away, you have to remember, he's not just writing a chapter. He's writing a legacy. And some of the pages you cry through, some of the nights that break you, some of the losses that shake you, will become the very foundation of your testimony. You want to live a life of purpose, then you've got to trust the one who created your purpose more than you trust your own plan. Because your plan is built on what you can see, but his purpose is built on what he already knows. He knows your future. He knows what's ahead. He knows who you're becoming, and sometimes he'll allow your plan to break just so his purpose can breathe. He'll let things fall apart so the right things can fall in place. He'll let people leave because they were never built to carry the weight of where you're going. He'll shut the door you wanted just so he can open the one you didn't even know existed. And yeah, it may not feel fair. It may not feel kind, but when you look back, and you will, you'll realize it was necessary. The heartbreak was necessary. The delay was necessary. The silence was necessary. The isolation was necessary. It didn't make sense then, but it will make sense later. Because God's purpose always makes sense in hindsight. But you don't have to wait for hindsight to walk in trust. You can trust him now. Right now, in the middle of the unknown, in the thick of the confusion, in the tension of not having answers, you can say, God, I don't get it, but I trust you. I don't see it, but I believe you're working. I don't feel peace, but I know you are peace. And that kind of trust, that kind of surrender, that's what unlocks purpose. Not your understanding. Not your logic, not your plan, it's your faith, your surrender, your willingness to lean not on your own understanding, but on his wisdom. Because in the end, purpose will always outlive your plan.